The Romans opened things up by moving again on this front with the one leader. And they got a momentum, actually, and looked like they were pushing forward. At that point, I trumped in with Hamilcar. That's going to hurt some of the Roman momentums. Their 3-point leaders aren't going to be able, and actually they have another 2-point leader again, aren't going to be able to get a roll for momentum, if I can remember that. And then they pushed forward. Hamilcar kind of had to, because if he didn't, he was going to get trumped himself. His phalanx was out of position, and he was going to probably get hit pretty hard. So by trumping in, he was able to rectify that a little bit. Unfortunately, both armies are a little weak, and you'll see there's a lot of Roman running, but there are also some fleeing Carthaginians and an elephant that got chased away by the Romans. So it's kind of a mixed situation where two tired armies that are worn out, lower on troops, are kind of slamming into each other and not having the staying power that they had before. So the leaders that the Romans got trumped with, been caught up with, we had some action clearing an elephant out of the way and actually getting a flank attack over here on these lancers. Pretty impressive, to tell you the truth. Still didn't push them away, but they've cleared up a lot of the problem here. The reason the lancers could be hit is because they didn't have anywhere to retreat to. Their retreat was blocked off. Something similar happened over here in the front when it pushed up against the skirmishers, a big block of them, and it routed the whole group instead of allowing them to retreat because they were just too densely packed. They retreated once but couldn't keep going, and the Triarii were able to hit them. So I think we're done with the trumped momentums. I'm going to pull that off so it doesn't worry me anymore. Now normally we'd go to a 4, but then, oh shit, no, we got one more trumped. I forgot him. Okay, we gotta take care of him. He'll only get one activation, but after that, we're jumping over. There's only one 4, should be to the 5, and that is again gonna be a Carthaginian over here. So the activation fell on Nero. Hannibal tried to again trump that, and again rolled an 8. Not good enough. Needs to be a 7 or less. Nero marched forward and really, he actually knocked out one of them Numidian cav by capturing it in kind of zones of control. Drove another one back that couldn't keep running away because it was out of cohesion. It would have routed, or if it tried, and sent a phalanx flying. But then Mahrabal trumped the momentum there. He's going to try to rally his forces here, but it's just looking worse and worse for Carthage. Battlefield's getting pretty chaotic at this point. Marcellus has been able to push his line forward, but you know, those lights, they can just keep falling back. No big deal there. It is threatening to expose this phalanx and send another one flying, but so much of Hannibal's forces back here, he's going to have to pull back to there and try to regroup it. Assuming he ever gets an action, his trump attempts, you know, slight risk involved, 2 turns in a row, possible decent payoff in terms of, you know, stopping the Romans from getting something cool, failed twice in a row. And that's really not helping a situation that was already kind of degenerating a bit. The Romans, on the other hand, are reeking through, and we've got like one there, some down here, trying to make it back towards the fort. This is Nero's detachment just scattering and heading to the nearest safety it can. For the most part, Marcellus has been able to rally his own forces and prepare them, unlike the Carthaginians, who really are struggling here. For Roman points, we have 10 for the turn, bringing us up to 97. They're getting to a scary level, actually. But for, let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 for Carthage, which puts them up to 77. Now they have less room to grow. It doesn't look like it's going to end this next turn, but both sides are really, their armies are becoming a lot weaker and a lot less able to sustain this fight. And it could break either way, I think. Yeah, the situation looks really bad for Carthage, but just attacking can open things up and cause the Roman army to take sufficient losses. They're only 23 away. Carthage is about 28 away. I'd say neither is probably going to break this turn, and we'll probably see it next turn. So now we see the Romans exploiting the gains that they've made. They're just pushing forward in the center, driving everything out of the way in front of them. It's pretty much just the Balearics, other than this phalanx, they were able to get a flanking attack on. That's all the lesser Romans. They've cleared most of the Celts out of the way. They've been able to hit some of the Cav even and drive that back because of collisions that were in place, etc., where the Cav couldn't withdraw from. It's just really looking very, very bad at this point. There's a little cluster of forces here that could rally, a cluster here, but not anything like a line. And granted, the Romans are kind of disintegrating too as they pursue, but it looks like the Carthaginians are going to have a hard time putting any kind of defense together. Switching over here, though, with Hasdrubal, he was able to actually recover quite a bit of ground. His little Cav force, not a lot the Romans can do about it. Their units were already tired, etc. So the Celts coming back, the Cav coming back, smashed them and sent them and drove them back. The gains that they made have been, turned around. So that's kind of becoming a more chaotic section where the battle is shifting back and forth, as opposed to over here where it really looks like Carthage is in a lot of trouble. Here they were able to rally, bring things together, and hit the Roman troops, which maybe had overextended. But point-wise, I think we're back on a Roman leader. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use Nero or Marcellus first, but whoever I use, then I have to switch over to someone. Mahrabal and his Numidians. Now, I've been playing him in this scenario as though he can only command the Numidians. That's if he, in some scenarios it specifies that. Some, the ones that actually made it through GMT directly, I have little problem just trusting, they knew what they were doing. But the ones in the C3Is, it's more of a likelihood that there's going to be little errors or omissions. So in this case, I'm playing him that way, because he's that way in quite a few scenarios. Well, the Numidian Cav has done a great job, a number of flanks exposed, etc., of just really driving the Romans that were here into a rout. Nero's forces had advanced, but now they're being broken up by the powerful light Cav. That stuff is always so impressive when it gets a few flank shots in place. Let me hit here. Must have. Alright, at this point, the main Marcellus himself is the only commander left for the Romans, and we have Hannibal for Carthage. Marcellus is going to see if he can rectify things, because right now he's at 11, 22, 28 points. He's 5 points from losing. The Carthaginians are at 10, 13, 27 points, 1 point from losing. If somehow he can drive that one extra point without losing many himself, he can break the Carthaginian army here. Well, this is the end of the road for Hannibal. After a first action by Marcellus, he routed some forces, pushed forward. He got a momentum. Hannibal decides to try to break that. Again, trumping. Again, an 8. Failure. Nothing happens. And now we have a Roman unit which was able to march up and slap these skirmishers in behind. They're routed already. They take any casualties, they're out of the game. That's going to be the 1 point needed. Nothing else needs to really be done here. The only question would be, could somebody like this escape the map? And the answer is no. None of the Roman units are close enough to routing off the board to cause any risk here. So the Romans can pretty much put this one in their pocket. They're going to cause a casualty here. This is going to be dead. And that gives them 1 point over what they need. Overall, this has been a really exciting battle. I think one of the more tense and fluid of the battles, in terms of starting out with that nice little, ring that the Romans built, trying to defend themselves, delaying for time. When Nero came in, he was quite impressive. But it looked to me, until Nero came in, that Carthage had this one sewn up. They couldn't really push any harder than they did on that formation. They got kind of lucky in terms of Nero not coming in early. Although, had he come in early, the battle might have played out a little differently. He was very surprising where he was, and Hannibal just never recovered from being hit there. Yeah, the Numidians did a number here. They brought Rome almost to collapse as well. Anyway, I really enjoyed this one more than I've enjoyed most of the recent SPQRs I've done. Definitely seeing the swinging back and forth as a real advantage. Now, how often will this happen? I don't think. I think that any of the more balanced scenarios, and this is one of them, have the possibility of that. Of course, this with its special, detachment coming in late in the game could be more likely to have it because the Romans are in a weaker position. All right, I'm going to load this one up.